Malaysia to express official position on allegations of fund channeling. MINDEF inks 40 agreements worth more than 7 billion ringgit at DSA and NATSEC Asia 2024. Good evening. In Salam Malaysia Madani, you're watching Malaysia Tonight. I'm Muhammad Amin. Now, the interim report on the crash of two Royal Malaysian Navy or TLDM helicopters that killed 10 officers and personnel on the 23rd of April will be released tomorrow. Communications Minister Fahmi Fadil said the matter was confirmed by the Defence Minister Datuk Seri Muhammad Khalid Nordin at the Cabinet meeting today.
Menteri Pertahanan hari ini telah memberi sedikit maklum balas mengenai status laporan awal siasatan bagi nahas helikopter yang berlaku di Lumut baru-baru ini. Beliau memaklumkan kepada Jemaah Menteri bahawa laporan awal akan diterbitkan esok, dan ini adalah untuk makluman semua laporan awal dan belum lagi mempunyai keseluruhan. Kita jangkakan Menteri Pertahanan telah memaklumkan jangkaan laporan penuh akan siap mungkin dalam tempoh 2 ataupun 3 minggu yang akan datang.
In the incident, 10 Navy members and officers comprising 7 crews of the Maritime Operations Helicopter and 3 RMN Fennec crews were killed after the helicopters they were in crashed. The personnel were part of a parade rehearsal for the 90th anniversary of TLDM in the Lumut base.
We'll see you next week.
On another matter, Fahmi Fadil said as of today, no reports have been received by the Malaysian Communications and Multimedia Commission or MCMC by any social media account owners regarding personal attacks on national football players. While he reiterated that MCMC is always prepared to investigate any claims on such reports with the help from the Royal Malaysian Police or PDRM.
Secara umum, pihak MCMC akan mengambil sebarang tindakan berdasarkan laporan ataupun aduan yang diterima secara rasmi. Bila mana-mana pihak membuat aduan, sama ada melalui nombor talian WhatsApp aduan MCMC ataupun di laman web MCMC. Saya tidak menerima setakat ini laporan daripada MCMC sama ada mana-mana pihak yang membuat aduan mengenai laman web tersebut.
Meanwhile, Fahmi advised all parties to be careful with their statements online lest they find themselves breaking the law. He also urged members of the public not to take matters into their own hands and do anything rash that may be considered unlawful. All parties want to see good quality football matches and avoid unwanted incidents towards anyone, especially the players. The Inland Revenue Board, or HDN, has established the lawyer roll application to allow lawyers to submit the real property gains tax forms electronically via eCKHT on MyTax portal. Now, he said that the feature was created in line with Section 57A, subsection 3 of the Real Property Gains Tax 1976. And elaborating further through a statement released today, LHDN said that the application for the role of a lawyer is only allowed for lawyers under law firms registered with the Bar Council. It noted that the procedure for applying for the lawyer's role can be done by visiting the website as shown on the screen. Well, according to the Revenue Collecting Agency, applicants need to log in to MyTax portal using their MyCAD number and password. It further said if there is no tax identification number, applications can be submitted via the e-Daftar service on MyTax. To obtain more information regarding the lawyer's role service, LHDN suggests taxpayers to refer to the user manual, which is accessible through the MyTax portal. Home Minister Datuk Seri Saifuddin Nasution confirmed that he will be meeting the United States Treasury Department's top sanctions official Brian Nelson tomorrow. Well, he said the meeting will be held to convey Malaysia's official stance on allegations regarding the channeling of funds through the Malaysian financial systems.
Saya akan memberikan penjelasan ataupun official position kerajaan tentang perkara yang dibangkitkan. Itu akan berlaku pagi besok.
It was reported that the U.S. Treasury Department's top sanctions official will travel to Singapore and Malaysia this week as Washington seeks to combat funding for Iran and its proxy groups, as well as evasion of its sanctions on Russia. On the issue of money moving to Iran and its proxies, including Hamas, through the Malaysian financial system, Dato Sri Saifuddin will also be listening to U.S. concerns and the sanction risks such activity poses. The Malaysian government is prepared to engage with U.S. counterparts to understand the details regarding possible sanctions against Malaysian companies. Asian Ulama Council plays a crucial role in promoting moderation by offering balanced interpretations of religious texts, advocating for tolerance and guiding believers towards a middle path that avoids extremism while emphasizing spiritual balance. Well, during his special remarks at the Asian Ulama Council 2024, Deputy Prime Minister Dato Sri Dr. Ahmad Zahid Hamidi said the Council also actively counters extremist ideologies and fosters social cohesion through dialogue and collaboration among diverse groups. He said engagement with policymakers is vital to advocate for policies grounded in moderate Islamic values, aiming for inclusive and equitable societies.
Today, scholars, thinkers, and leaders from the region convene to engage in discussions covering a wide range of topics, including religious studies, theology, contemporary social issues, and the evolving role of scholars. The active participation, ideas exchange, and establishment of new connections during this conference underscore the potential of collaboration in addressing the global challenges we face.
He also urged the delegates to carry forward the spirit of cooperation and dialogue beyond the gathering, transcending borders to foster peace and mutual respect. Well, the Saudi Arabia Interior Ministry has announced the enforcement of a 10,000 Riyal penalty for violating the rules and instructions of the Hajj season. The penalty will be in effect from the 2nd to the 20th of June 2024. Now, through an infographic shared by the ministry on the platform X, formerly Twitter, the penalty is applied to 7 areas, namely Makkah, Masayir, the Haramain train station in Rusaifah, security control centers, isolation centers, and a temporary security control center. Now, the ministry explained that the penalty will be imposed on all individuals, including citizens, residents, and visitors who are caught in the geographical areas without a Hajj permit. In addition, non-citizens who are arrested will be deported and banned from entering Saudi Arabia for a period stipulated under the law. Now, the ministry also stressed the importance of complying with Hajj rules and instructions, with offenders facing double fines for repeated offences. Saudi Arabian government law stipulates that violation of Hajj rules and instructions can lead to imprisonment of up to 6 months and a fine of up to 50,000 Riyals. Individuals transporting offenders, if expatriates, will be deported after the execution of the sentence and prohibited from entering Saudi Arabia for a period set by the law, in addition to facing the risk of a double fine. Up next in the business segment, MIDA and MOHI collaborate to catalyze industrial expansion. The Defense Ministry has signed 40 contracts worth 7.3 billion ringgit at the DSA and NATSEC Asia 2024. Now, the contracts are comprised of 7 contracts, 17 letters of agency, 4 letters of intent, and 10 memorandums of understanding. Now, Defense Minister Dato Sri Muhammad Khalid Nordin informed that the agreements are intended to, among others, proceed with the procurement of new assets for the use of the Malaysian Armed Forces. He witnessed the signing ceremony between the Secretary General of the Defense Ministry, Dato Sri Isham Ishak, and representatives of the companies involved. While the largest valued deals are comprised of 17 letters of acceptances worth a total of 3.3 billion ringgit, alongside 7 contracts worth 1.9 billion ringgit. At the same event, 4 letters of intent were also signed amounting to a total worth of 1.83 billion ringgit as well as 280 million ringgit for 10 memorandums of understanding. The ministry also announced the receiving of 18 units of anti-tank guided weapon, medium range or ATGWMR from Turkey. The strategic cooperation between the Malaysian Investment Development Authority, MIDA, and the Ministry of Higher Education, MOHE or MOHE, is expected to catalyze the country's industrial growth, especially in supporting the development of more talents at the global level. Investment, Trade and Industry or MITI Minister Tengku Dato' Sri Zafrul Abdul Aziz said a trained and competitive workforce is key to the success of the new Industrial Master Plan 2030 or NIMP 2030. Well, he said the shortage of skilled talent has become a constant issue among investors, both domestic and foreign. He also noted that without a holistic solution on talent development and supply, Malaysia can never achieve the economic complexity, high-tech industrial ecosystem, net zero target or the economic security envisaged by the NIMP 2030. Tengku Dato' Sri Zafrul said the collaboration is in line with the aspirations of the Madani Economy Framework, the NIMP 2030 and also the Pelan Tindakan Pendidikan Tinggi Malaysia 2022-2025, which aims to create graduate and skilled talent to crown Malaysia among the 30 largest economies in the world by the year 2033. Now, for the 2021-2023 period, he noted that as many as 150,000 job opportunities have been created through 2,386 approved manufacturing projects. Malaysia Digital Economy Corporation, MDEC, expects its latest business matching platform, DEX Carnex Indonesia, to lead to the creation of 250 million ringgit in digital export opportunities. Well, MDEC has business matched over 70 Malaysian tech companies with the Indonesian counterparts while significantly contributing to the growth of the digital economy within ASEAN. Well, MDEC said in a statement issued today that the DEX Carnex program served as a pivotal platform for participants from both nations to engage, expand their networks and showcase Malaysian technological prowess. The program is a joint effort involving the Malaysian Embassy in Jakarta, the Ministry of Investment, Trade and Industry of Malaysia, Martrade Jakarta, Malaysia Club Jakarta, Hub.id, Axion, Digital Hub BSD City and Sinar Mas Land. The initiative also featured Memorandum of Understanding exchanges that include Reskills partnering with JCI to help young individuals upskill, advance their careers and pursue entrepreneurial ventures with globally certified learning opportunities. MIDF Research Investment Bank Berhad sees good prospects for trading activities in Bursa Malaysia this year from a corporate earnings and valuation point of view, as the local bourse hit 2 trillion ringgit in market capitalization for the first time yesterday, with the key index at a 2-year high. Now, the research firm also anticipates robust economic growth and corporate earnings. It expects that the expectations of U.S. interest rate cuts will lead to positive sentiment, especially among foreign investors, and this will drive better market valuations. MIDF Research said it has seen better trading activities thus far this year on the back of the expectation of U.S. Federal Reserve interest rate cuts, adding that Bursa Malaysia is well positioned to continue developing the marketplace and make further progress in its strategic plans. In the short term, though, MIDF Research said the ongoing global and local developments would continue to influence the volatility and performance of the securities and derivatives markets, which are current juncture, the research firm is sanguine. Hence, it is maintaining its buy call on the stock with an unchanged target price of 8 ringgit and 20 cents, pegging financial year 2025 earnings per share to a price earnings ratio of 25 times. The Services Producer Price Index, or SPPI, averaged 115.8 points in the first quarter of 2024, or 1Q 2024, marking a 1% increase, mirroring the fourth quarter of 2023, or 4Q 2023. The Department of Statistics Malaysia, or DOSM Chief Statistician, Dato' Sri Dr. Muhammad Uzair Mahidin, said all subsectors registered growth in 1Q 2024, except for transportation, which remain unchanged. Now, he said the arts, entertainment and recreation subsector saw a 7.5% rise, attributed to a 2.1% increase in other amusement and recreation activities. Now, meanwhile, the index of accommodation, food and beverage services activities increased by 2.5% due to increases in beverage service activities of 3.3% and restaurants and mobile food services activities by 2.8%. Dato' Sri Dr. Muhammad Uzair highlighted that other subsectors such as education, which has an increase of 0.8%, and real estate activities, 0.6%, also experienced slight increases. Additionally, health and professional indices both rose by 0.2%, followed by information and communication by 0.1%. In the meantime, other subsectors, including real estate activities, health, information and communication, and professional indices, recorded an increase of 0.1% each, among others. Bank Negara Malaysia, BNM, is expected to extend its rate pause pending finer details on fuel subsidy rationalization plans, keeping the overnight policy rate, or OPR, at 3% at the upcoming monetary policy meeting on 9th May. While CIMB Treasury and Markets Research said it also expects monetary policy to remain at the status quo and maintain its end 2024 OPR forecast of 3%. It also noted that the withdrawals from soon-to-be introduced Employees Provident Fund, or EPF Account 3, and civil servants' salary hikes are poised to boost private consumption. On gross domestic product, or GDP, the research house reiterated its 2024's growth forecast of 4.9%, supported by the spillover of civil servants' salary hikes. It added the projected 25 billion ringgit outflows from EPF Account 3 in the first year might contribute 0.5 percentage points to GDP growth, while the civil servants' salary hike might add 0.2 percentage points. Now, the spillover to consumption is likely greater as Prime Minister Dato' Sri Anwar Ibrahim guides prioritization on salary increment for those in lower grades or low-income group who are likely to spend a higher portion of additional income earned. CIMB Treasury and Markets Research added that the B40 and M40 groups held 1% and 17% of total EPF savings at 11 billion ringgit and 180 billion ringgit respectively, compared to the T20's 82% share, or 897 billion ringgit. The international reserves of Bank Negara Malaysia, BNM, amounted to $112.8 billion as at 30th April this year. In a statement today, Bank Negara Malaysia said that the main components of the total 112.8 billion ringgit were foreign currency reserves, International Monetary Fund reserves position, special drawing rights, or SDRs, gold and other reserve assets. Now, the central bank said the reserves position is sufficient to finance 5.5 months of imports and goods and services, and is 1 times the total short-term external debt, while total assets stood at 629.49 billion ringgit, comprising gold and foreign exchange and other reserves, including SDRs of 534.25 billion ringgit, Malaysian government papers 13 billion ringgit, deposits with financial institutions 1.9 billion ringgit, loans and advances 24.61 billion ringgit, land and buildings 4.13 billion ringgit, and other assets 51.61 billion ringgit. BNM said capital and liabilities comprise paid-up capital of 100 million ringgit, reserves 190.52 billion ringgit, currency in circulation, 166.54 billion ringgit. Deposits by financial institutions, 149.22 billion ringgit. Federal government deposits, 6.61 billion ringgit. And other deposits, 63.4 billion ringgit. And Bank Negara papers, 18.65 billion ringgit. Allocation of SDRs, 30.21 billion ringgit. And other liabilities, 4.25 billion ringgit. Well, Indonesian Central Bank Governor Peri Warjio said today more capital inflows had been seen since Bank Indonesia hiked interest rates last month in an effort to stabilize the rupiah, and he expected the trend would continue. Well, commenting further on the matter, Warjio said their decision to hike interest rate and also higher rates for rupiah securities have increased the market and investor confidence, therefore attracting more capital inflows into Indonesia. Well, it said total capital inflows into Indonesia had reached more than 20 trillion rupiah, or $1.25 billion so far in May. The governor also said that Bank Indonesia will continue working to strengthen the currency beyond 16,000 rupiah to a dollar. The rupiah last month fell to 16,285 per US dollar, its lowest since the COVID-19 pandemic, as rising tensions in West Asia and delayed expectations of US rate cuts prompted capital outflows from emerging economies. Toyota Motor Corporation said today it saw a record net profit of 4.94 trillion yen for the fiscal year of 2023, citing robust demand and the yen's depreciation. While in its latest financial results, Toyota said the figure doubled from the previous fiscal year, while the operating profit almost doubled from a year earlier to 5.35 trillion yen during the fiscal period from April 2023 to March 2024. Well, according to their local media reports, Toyota became the first Japanese company to top the 5 trillion yen mark in operating profit for fiscal 2023. Now, the Japanese automaker reported a record 45.1 trillion yen in sales, up 21.4% from a year ago. And citing the popularity of hybrid cars, the company said its group vehicle sales, including those of its subsidiaries, Daihatsu Motor Company and Hino Motors Limited, rose 5% to 11.09 million units. Toyota expected its net profit to decline 27.8% to 3.57 trillion yen for the current fiscal year, ending next March with a 2% rise in sales. Meanwhile, the company said its planned global sales are downgraded to 10.95 million vehicles worldwide for the year, down 1.3% from the previous year. Well, oil prices fell in Asian trade today as industry data showed a pile-up in crude and fuel inventories in the U.S., a sign of weak demand and cautious supply expectations emerge ahead of an OPEC Plus policy meeting next month. Now, Brent crude oil futures fell 57 cents a barrel, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures fell 53 cents a barrel. Now, both benchmarks fell marginally in the previous session on signs of easing supply tightness and weaker global oil demand from an EIA forecast report. Cautious expectations on supply cuts from the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries and its allies, or OPEC Plus, ahead of a 1st June policy meeting also weighed on markets. Oil prices have come under further pressure as noise around OPEC Plus production policy grows and expectations that members will extend their additional voluntary supply cuts beyond the second quarter of this year. Meanwhile, hopes of a ceasefire in Gaza have also put pressure on oil prices in recent sessions, with some analysts saying the risk premium on oil declined in tandem. Some analysts' expectations that short-term demand remain well supported limited overall price declines. Sparta Commodities analyst Neil Crosby said much talk of economic run cuts in recent weeks is overblown, with margins still healthy enough, which means rather that Asian demand could rather pick up once turnarounds peak and diminish. Well, coming up, Australia raises minimum savings for student visa. Australia said it would raise the amount of savings international students will need to get a visa and warned several colleges of fraudulent student recruitment practices as part of efforts to rein in record migration. So from Friday, international students must show proof of savings of at least 29,710 Australian dollars to get their visa, the second increase in about 7 months. It was raised to 24,505 Australian dollars from 21,041 Australian dollars in October. Now, the moves follow a raft of actions in recent months to tighten the student visa rules as the lifting of COVID-19 restrictions in 2022 triggered a sudden influx of migrants, exacerbating pressure on an already tight rental market. English language requirements for students' visas were increased in March, and the government has been taking steps to end settings that allowed students to prolong their stay. International education is one of Australia's largest export industries, but record migration, mostly driven by international students, has put the government under pressure with rental prices soaring across the country. The government expects its policies could halve Australia's migrants' intake over the next 2 years. Britain's Home Office said border control systems are operational after an outage that it deemed was not a cyber attack led to lengthy queues and chaotic scenes at airports nationwide. Now, the Home Office said in an emailed statement early on Wednesday that at no point was border security compromised, as there is no indication of malicious cyber activity. Britain's biggest airport, Heathrow, said all of its border control systems were running as usual, while London's Stansted Airport also confirmed the outage had been resolved. Long queues built up at British airports on Tuesday night after the border force suffered a nationwide technical issue. The automated border gate system also crashed in May last year, causing long queues and hours of delays for passengers. The air traffic system also went into meltdown in August 2023 when a technical problem disrupted the National Air Traffic Service for several hours. Border Force is a law enforcement command within the Home Office or Interior Ministry, which operates passport control and e-gates at airports. The United States paused a shipment of bombs to Israel last week over fears it would invade the southern Gaza city of Rafah, marking the first time in the conflict that President Joe Biden has squeezed military aid to the key U.S. ally. A senior administration official said Washington halted the load of 907-kilogram bombs and 226-kilogram bombs after Israel had not fully addressed the U.S. concerns about a major ground operation. Now, news of the move comes as the White House blasted the unacceptable closure of the Rafah border crossing with Egypt after Israel sent tanks into the area early on Tuesday while holding out hope for a ceasefire with Hamas. The pausing of weapons marks the first time that Biden has acted on the warning that he gave Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in April that U.S. policy on Gaza would depend on how Israel treated civilians. So the U.S. official said Biden's administration made the decision on the weapons when it appeared Israel was on the verge of a major ground operation into Rafah, which Washington has strongly opposed, as more than 1 million people are sheltering there. The U.S. State Department is also still reviewing other weapon transfers. Well, that concludes this edition of Malaysia Tonight. In our top story, Malaysia to express official position on allegations of fund channeling. I'm Mohammed Amin Carlos. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Thanks for watching.